This may look like a historical image of a European town, or maybe New York, or even possibly Pittsburgh, but it's not. It's a town you've probably never heard of. This is Wheeling, West Virginia, or what was Wheeling, West Virginia. So, what is left of this place? Why is a city that had so much potential dying such a slow and painful death? Can it even recover? In this video, we are going to explore Wheeling's fascinating history, urban design, architecture, and the remnants of a city that once thrived. And I think Wheeling has a real chance at a comeback, and the way forward might not be what you expect. Wheeling sits on the Ohio River, just an hour west of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and right across the river from the two Ohioan towns of Martins Ferry and Bridgeport. It's the largest municipality in the North Panhandle of West Virginia, being nestled in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Wheeling sits along a string of towns, cities, and industrial areas linearly connected along the Ohio River Valley, which I will never not be fascinated by. Because of its position along the river and its connection to early trade routes, Wheeling grew rapidly as a hub for travel, industry, and commerce. Wheeling's history is bigger than you might expect for a city of its size. In the 1800s, it became the center of iron and steel production, glass manufacturing, and tobacco. The city was so influential that Wheeling briefly served as the capital of West Virginia during the Civil War era. And at its height, it had bustling streetcars, theaters, factories, and one of the grandest suspension bridges in the country. There are even reports of an activist labeling Wheeling as the most wicked city in the South for all the saloons it had over town. But to me, honestly, that just sounds like Wheeling was a lot of fun back in the day. Like many American industrial cities, Wheeling fell in hard times. As steel mills and factories closed in the mid to late 20th century, jobs disappeared. People left in search of opportunities elsewhere, and the population dropped sharply. Many once grand buildings sat empty. Today, Wheeling has less than half of the population it had in its prime, leaving behind both challenges and opportunities. Before we go any further, let's look at how dramatic the population decline of Wheeling has been. Wheeling's population peaked in the 1930s, so we will compare that to today. The state of West Virginia was at 1,729,000 in 1930 and 1,769,000 in the present day. That is a 2.3% increase, which isn't too bad. Wheeling was at a population of 61,000 in 1930, and today it is 27,000. That is a dramatic decrease of 56%, and there are no signs that the city will stop bleeding its population until it's just a forgotten memory of a town. Wheeling's population decline has left entire blocks quieter than they once were. With much of Wheeling's original urban form remaining intact though, the layout, the scale, and the architecture all tell a story of how cities were once built, and that is where Wheeling's design becomes really interesting. The design of Wheeling is unique. Its historic core sits on a narrow strip of land along the Ohio River, laid out on a rectilinear grid, just a few blocks wide at some points. Across the river, within its city limits, is Wheeling Island, the most populated island on the entire Ohio River. Small mountains divide the city, leaving neighborhoods and landmarks like Wheeling University separated from the rest of the urban fabric. The terrain and the Ohio River give Wheeling a fragmented, unique character where each district feels distinct. At the center of it all is the downtown area, right in the middle of the historic core. And despite its struggles, Wheeling still has one of the most stunning historic downtowns in all of Appalachia. The streets are lined with ornate 19th century commercial blocks, tall brick and stone buildings with intricate facades, arched windows, and cast iron storefronts that speak to the city's prosperous industrial era. Walking through downtown, you can almost imagine what it must have felt like when streetcars rolled by and every building bustled with activity. The Capitol Theater, still in operation, stands as a grand reminder of the cultural life Wheeling once enjoyed. One of the things I really enjoy about Wheeling and other small cities built in the same era is how compact the city blocks are. Small blocks break up repetition and give the pedestrian experiencing the city at ground level the ability to change directions frequently and have a sense that they are moving through space quickly, unlike cities with huge blocks. While the sidewalks could use some improvement, the narrow streets and small-scale blocks create a surprisingly walkable, pedestrian-friendly experience. As we look down the streets, we can see how small the streets are and how easy it is to cross basically anywhere. When it comes to river access, Wheeling stands out compared to many U.S. cities that I've seen. Instead of turning its back to the water, the city built Heritage Port Park, a waterfront space that celebrates its historic connection to the Ohio River and by extension to the world. The Wheeling Suspension Bridge, once one of the longest of its kind in the world, connects the city to Wheeling Island and remains one of the most iconic landmarks on the Ohio River. One particularly fascinating feature of cities with dramatic changes in topography is their steep, winding roads up mountainous hills. In Wheeling, the sharp hills create streets that climb directly between neighborhoods, twisting and narrowing in ways that almost feel like urban hiking trails. These roads define the city's movement and character, making traversing Wheeling an experience in itself. Even the creek that separates the north and south sides of the core is well connected, with multiple bridges making crossing very easy. To pause the video briefly for 2 seconds, please consider subscribing if you're enjoying this kind of content and dropping a like as it does help the channel. Okay, back to the content. Beyond the commercial core, the surrounding neighborhoods are filled with rows of stunning Victorian and early 20th century homes. Italianates with their tall, narrow proportions, Queen Anne houses with turrets and wraparound porches, and stately brick mansions that once belonged to steel barons and glass manufacturers. Many of these homes sit on tree-lined streets that overlook the river valley, creating a patchwork of neighborhoods that feel frozen in time. Together, this architecture tells a story of wealth, ambition, and craftsmanship, a built environment that many larger cities have lost to demolition and redevelopment. And this brings us to one of Wheeling's biggest draws, affordability. Housing is shockingly cheap compared to national averages. In many cases, you can buy a historic home for less than the cost of a new car. Of course, a lot of these need quite a bit of love, but I think you see what I'm getting at. For people tired of sky-high rents in major metro areas, Wheeling offers a chance at real home ownership and space. The national average for the typical home in the U.S. is around $400,000 and $500,000. The average price of a house in Wheeling, West Virginia is about $188,000. That is a very meaningful difference considering the housing crisis that we currently have in the United States. And let's not forget the natural surroundings. The Ohio River flows right through the heart of the city, and the rolling Appalachian hills make for dramatic views in every direction. Outdoor activities are just minutes away, from biking along the river to hiking through the hills. You get the mix of urban history and natural beauty that feels rare in America today. But of course, it's not all sunshine and roses for the built environment, as I may have led you to believe. So I'm going to take off my rose-tinted glasses for just a moment. Quite a lot, the downtown core has been demolished for surface parking lots. Nothing kills walkable districts more than transitioning these places into car-focused spaces. As we look at this diagram, we can see how much was gutted just for car storage. Beautiful buildings are sitting empty. Some are completely abandoned. They don't build buildings like this anymore, and we can see them crumbling right in front of us. Kudzu may be the only living thing growing here in the city sometimes. It makes for a dramatic contrast to the steady decline of people leaving and life withering away. The infrastructure is getting worse, but it's alright as the highways and railroads are only carrying jobs out of Wheeling. The official U.S. poverty rate in 2024 was 10.6%. The poverty rate in Wheeling, West Virginia, is approximately 19.4%. That is double the national rate. Wheeling needs a new path forward, and fast. So what does the future hold for Wheeling? Like other Appalachian towns and cities, it faces challenges, but also opportunities. With remote work becoming more common, as much of the workforce sits behind a computer now, Wheeling could attract digital nomads and young professionals looking for affordable living, character-filled architecture, and a slower pace of life. Wheeling and the state of West Virginia will need to work on policies that can attract digital nomads. And as we look at policies that can attract these professionals, I have a few suggestions on policies they could implement. Investing in high-speed internet, offering incentives to renovate historic homes and reuse old buildings, create more co-working spaces and community hubs, and improve the quality of life, making the downtown more walkable, expanding bike trails, and keeping investing in parks and public spaces. And finally, brand the city for what it already is: affordable, historic, and scenic. Market Wheeling as a hidden gem that remote workers are looking for. Wheeling, West Virginia is more than just a relic of America's industrial past. It has historic charm, natural beauty, and an unbelievably low cost of living. With the right vision, Wheeling doesn't just have to have a history worth remembering. It has a future worth building.